Welcome to the live stream, everyone. You'll have to excuse me as I am eating my first meal of the day, which is cereal. Hello, hello. Sorry, I'm eating my first meal of the day, so I'm ravenously eating cereal right now. Hello, Jason. Hello. Hello, Mary. Hello, Crab J. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so I'm eating Cheerios with like shredded coconut and chocolate chips. No, it's not watermelon, but that would also be really good. Hello, Aaron. Hello, S. Jung. Welcome to the live stream. Yeah, originally I thought this meeting I was at was going to get out early, but I ended up leaving later than expected. So that's why we're starting a little bit late. But hello, Josh. Hello, Dan. Welcome, welcome. I hope I have enough entertaining stuff to talk about tonight. Yeah, it has been a long time, actually, hasn't it? Ni hao. Hello, Invisible. Not too much. Just eating some cereal. So my friend recently introduced me to something called overnight oats, which is not what this is, but basically you take like oatmeal and chia seeds and then like whatever else you want to put in there. Sometimes I put like chocolate chips and coconut, and you just like put it in a cup or a jar and you mix it up and then you pour milk into it. And you kind of let that sit for like overnight or at least for a few hours. And then when it's ready, it's like all the milk has soaked into the oats. It's super good. It's like cold oatmeal, but like, which maybe sounds less appealing than it is, but it tastes really good. Crab J, yeah, I just didn't go to China because, I don't know, I just had a lot going on here that I didn't want to be away from for like a couple of weeks. I would love to go back there though, and I had no idea they were going to be going to Xinjiang. I don't think Robby did either, but I would love to go there someday because that's just like such a cool wild area. Homemade Wanderlust. I feel like someone mentioned that before, but I'm not sure. Just checking in to say hello and happy autumn. Yes, happy fall season. It finally feels like fall in Ohio. I don't know if this is the case for everyone else. Oh, Jonathan Mulberry says my video is not updating. Jonathan, maybe if you try refreshing, I don't know if it's a problem everyone else has, but hello, William Beck. Hello, Sanwar. Have you watched the channel Crime Pays but Botany Doesn't? Yes, yeah, someone was telling me about that. I actually haven't watched enough of it, but it was hilarious from what I saw. Caps Outdoors, Evening Owl, hello. I actually recently just started watching Parts Unknown again. It had been a while since I watched that, but I watched a few episodes like a week or two ago, and it was really good. YouTube is kind of choppy, yeah. Yes, happy Wednesday, happy Wednesday. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, autumn. It's weird. In Ohio, like, I don't know if this was the case for all of you, but thank you, Leah. I appreciate that. Yeah, so it was like 90 degrees one day, and then the very next day it was like 60 degrees suddenly, and it just like was literally an overnight seasonal shift. It was nuts. But yeah, I don't know if that's the case with everyone else, but that's how it was in Ohio. Hello, Mary. Yeah, Parts Unknown is like one of the most beautifully shot documentary style series I've seen, and they like edit it so well too. Yeah, it's the same for you, Aaron. I feel like I ask this every time, but I forget like what region you're from. But I'm just curious if it's like universal across different places. Jeremy Cox went to Shawnee this weekend and did some the same loop you guys did on the episode. Shawnee State Forest. Jason says it frosted overnight here. Oh, wow. I don't know if we've gotten frost here yet. We probably have, and I just haven't seen it. But Sanwar says, I had frozen screen at first, just closed the app and came back and it was fine. That's good to know. Ah, Springfield, Ohio. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. Minnesota is getting snow. Wow. That's nuts. Is that normal, Mary? I guess, I mean, that sounds like it might be normal for Minnesota, but I don't know. It's just funny because I remember last year, it was about mid-October when we went to Wildcat Hollow. Speaking of places in Ohio, Jeremy, yeah, last year we were in Wildcat Hollow and it was so hot still. And that's how it was for like the very beginning of October. But yeah, Josh, the world really is worse off without. Like, that's the only time a celebrity death felt like it actually impacted me. And I don't know why, but he just like, he was such a cool guy. He always approached things from a very like nuanced perspective and like was willing to hear other people's sides. And also like all the different cultures he presented, he didn't present them as if they were like weird and exotic. He just like presented them how they were. Yeah, that show is definitely a big inspiration for our show too, in a lot of ways, even though they're pretty different. Skolor says, yeah, it just started feeling really fall-y in Virginia. Marie Fisher says, not very normal, no, November is more typical. Okay, gotcha. Crabjay says, I found Robby's YouTube channel. Do you have your own channel? Crabjay, I do not, but actually there's something about that I will talk about in a second, where I might be starting another channel, not specifically for me, but yeah, I'll talk about that in a second. Rachel says, Morgantown, West Virginia, no snow or frost yet. Which part of West Virginia is that? And I wonder, like, because I've noticed when we've gone to Dolly Sods, a lot of times it's colder up there just because, like, the higher altitude. But Barb says, hiked in North Georgia mountains today and saw big, bright orange and yellow mushrooms. Immediately thought of you. Thank you. I'm honored that made you think of me. Chris Robinson, hello. Sanwar says it's like it's getting fall-like here in Atlanta. Temperature in the low 80s. Man, that's pretty balmy. But that's kind of how it's been here. It's been like the mid 70s. Highs 30s in Seattle during the night now. Oh wow, didn't give above 50. Wow, I always thought Seattle stayed pretty temperate throughout the year. That's surprising. S. Xiong says I went to Algonquin back in mid-September and we capsized our boat via very choppy water. Oh wow, I totally now understand the Manistee trauma and pain. Yeah. Did you lose any equipment or did it just get wet? Yeah, Mary, I need to have a meetup. I don't know, maybe we'll do like a fall or winter meetup. It's weird how quickly time feels like it goes quickly and slowly at the same time sometimes. Jeremy Cox says, Shawnee was great. Way tougher than I was expecting, but it was so great to get out and camp in nice weather. Yeah, the hills out there can be surprisingly brutal. I did a few trips this summer and the heat was miserable, so I swore it off until the fall. Yeah, that's smart. Especially if you're going to a place like Shawnee, I think that is definitely a place worth going when it's a like cooler weather. In North California Bay Area, it's still warm around the 70s. Okay, that makes sense. How's it going, South? Welcome. S. Sean says, no, kind of soaked, but we had dry bags. That's good. Yeah, Robby did go with his dad, although I think he went to Xinjiang on his own with some other people, and his dad stayed in the other city, Fujian. But I believe they are back, or at least on their way back. It seems like Robby got sick towards the end of it, which kind of sucks. But Skolor says, we were actually in Monongahela last weekend, and I don't think it got below freezing, but it definitely was getting close. Rachel says, you guys got any more trips planned after their China trip? So me, Bryan, and Thomas were thinking about doing something in October. We still don't have anything super solid planned for that, but we do have a trip planned for like more during the winter time, which involves cabins, which I think will be really cool. That's something that Bryan's been talking about before. But Aaron Jones says, Jeremy Cox, I'm with Andrew on Shawnee. It's freaking insane considering all the detours. Yeah. Looking forward to those China vlogs. Love the first one. Cabins are new and welcome. Yeah, so I think it's going to be something where like we're staying in cabins part of the time and then hiking and backpacking part of the time. We also want to do a winter trip. We've mentioned this before, but a winter trip where we just get like a big 4-person tent and we all carry part of it. So we can all be in like the same tent and stuff. Just something like that. Jeremy says, agreed. We took the roads on a few stretches and that helped. Yeah, I can also imagine that like the trails can be a lot more overgrown during this time of year. Whereas when we went, it was more like wintry. Rachel says, yes, gotta love a cabin. Oh yeah, especially during the winter. Gravity says, since Thomas is back home, does he live close by for you to meet up frequently? He does live close by, and actually, now that I've moved around in the city, I'm actually really close to him. But we've only hung out like a couple times, and that's mostly just because like we're both busy with various things. Shannon, welcome. No worries. We just got started like 10 minutes ago. William Beck says, leave tomorrow for 2 weeks, car and camping. Tomorrow, Smokies, then Alabama, Atlanta, Shenandoah, Pennsylvania, New York, and lastly, the Berkshires in Massachusetts. That's awesome. So you're going on a big 2-week Appalachian road trip. That sounds super cool. Winter trip. I see Hot Pot in the episode. Yeah, Jason, actually, I just had Hot Pot the last 2 nights. It's funny because Hot Pot, like, it feels like a luxurious meal, but it's such a simple thing to put together because all you're doing is just boiling different ingredients. Leia says, would you ever date a subscriber? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that, but I am very flattered. Thank you. Jeremy says, I've never seen so many other hikers on a backpacking trip. We camped with 4 other groups, both nights at the large campsites. Oh, at Shawnee. I'm trying to remember what the campsites were like when we went. Yeah, I guess there were campsite areas that were, it looks like there were a lot of people who could camp there, but when we went, not a lot of people were there. So, and we might have gone on weekdays too, so that probably helped us. Chris says, what will happen with the narration for the upcoming episode with it being the first episode you aren't in? I'm just gonna write it as best as I can for Robby and Bryan, I think. That's probably what's gonna happen. Unfortunately, I haven't really started working on that just because I don't have access to the files. But I'm probably gonna be working on some music because I can use the Picture to Rocks theme song that that we used in our last episode. What am I thinking? You should hike to campsite 6 at Shawnee. What will happen with the narration? Yeah, so with the narration, I mean, I'll probably get some input from like Robby and Bryan, especially like some of the more details or like details about the context of certain things or how they were feeling at certain times. But yeah, we'll see. It's funny because when we first started Adventure Archives, I was really hesitant to have episodes where it wasn't the 3 of us, besides the first, just because that was a case where like we just had to get up and do it. Oh, see ya, AJ Blakeman. Hope you have fun with the D&D campaign. But now, like, I think it just makes sense to have a looser format as far as like who is on the episode. Obviously, most of the time it's going to be the 3 or 4 of us, but yeah. Anyway, so actually on that note, so I mentioned earlier I'm working on a certain project, and we'll probably create a YouTube channel for this, but my Kung Fu instructor has asked me to help him document certain things. Jeremy Cox says, by the way, the old water spigot you guys showed on the video actually works. There's one at each campsite. Oh, wow. All the creeks were bone dry, so that was our water source. Oh, is that the one that was up on the hill, Jeremy? Like that we came by at nighttime? Because I feel like I remember seeing some of them covered up, but maybe that was just because it was wintertime. But anyway, my Kung Fu instructor has asked me to document this year-long training journey that he's going to go through. So he just turned 39 a week ago, and he's sort of like doing this midlife crisis thing, like not actually a midlife crisis, but just he's turning 40 next year, so he wants to train for an amateur MMA fight, mixed martial arts competition. He wants to level up in his Wing Chun grade. So right now he's like, he has the equivalent of a black belt, but he wants to get one grade higher than that. And then he also wants to get to level 6, which I don't exactly know what that means, if that means like a black belt or not. But he's currently learning Scrima. It's like Arnis Balintawa, which is a specific type of Filipino stick fighting. And he wants to run a long distance race. So he was thinking a 50-mile race, which to me sounds really crazy, but we'll see. But that's sort of been something that has been occupying my mind and time the past few days. Right now, he's probably just gonna. I'm trading my video editing for like private lessons at this point. But we talked today, and maybe like, I don't know. We'll figure out if there will be payment further down the road, or. And we were also saying, like, even though this is a year-long journey, it might be interesting to keep this channel going after he's done with that and just, like, see what else we can explore that's related to that. I know that's not exactly, like, the same as outdoorsy stuff, but I think just, like, the physicality of it is kind of an area where those two things overlap, but it's something super interesting to me. Anyway, Jeremy says, yep, that's the one for Camp 1. The rest are at the campsites. I also thought it was really weird. It was weird. Every campsite had an outhouse. Yeah, that is kind of weird. Yeah, you get that at certain parks. I think part of the reason they do that is if it's like a park where a lot of Boy Scouts frequent, it might just be easier for like younger kids to acclimate to backpacking that way. But yeah, so this side project is called Midlife Breakthrough, and let me show you some stuff from it really quick. So actually, let me see if I can just pull this up, full screen it. Oh, hold on. There we go. So this is just like a little snippet to give you an idea. So that is just footage from a recent test that he took for stick fighting. So that was just to get his like student level 1 or whatever in stick fighting, but it was pretty cool because I got to go there. It was like a place like a half hour out of the city, just a really nice dojo, and it was just cool watching him take this test. And like, I don't know, martial arts is really fascinating to me. I don't know why, but I mean, I know why, because it's cool and like kung fu movies are cool. But Chris Robinson says, have you had any more thoughts on creating episodes that aren't backpacking that you mentioned in a post on here a while ago? Yeah, a little bit. I think like that's definitely something we want to explore. And I feel like if we're going to explore that, it'll probably be more around like wintertime or next summer when like Thomas has some more free time off of school. But in general, yeah, I personally would love to explore videos that explore some different subjects because, I don't know, like working on this side project is super interesting to me just because it's like, it's just really fun thinking about how you can document a completely different subject matter from like what you're used to documenting. Like usually I'm just recording stuff in the outdoors, but when you're recording martial arts stuff, like that's something that's much more physical. Something where there's a lot less like beautiful scenery that's really fun to capture, but there's a lot of like movement and physicality that you usually don't get in hiking because usually we're just walking. Aaron Jones says it's a luxury most backpackers don't have in the backcountry. Yeah, definitely. Although sometimes I've run into outhouses that like I would just much rather be outside than using the outhouse. Let's see. Jeremy Cox says, I walked in one and saw a spider chilling on the toilet seat, so I stuck with a good old cat hole. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Sanmore says, good question. Would love Adventure Archives to explore a big city like New York. Yeah, that was something we talked about before, was like an urban archives type thing where we explore a city. Actually, one of the biggest challenges with that, even though it sounds like it would be easier, one of the biggest challenges is filming with other people around, because like in the wilderness, it's easy to just like really concentrate on what you're doing. But if you're surrounded by like strangers and by people, sometimes you get self-conscious about what you're doing. And if you're like at a restaurant or something, and you haven't cleared it with them explicitly, like you never know who's going to tell you like, oh, don't film, But that's definitely something I would love to explore more of. There like even Columbus has so many interesting things that I would love to talk about that I think go underappreciated. Josh says martial arts are cool because they're one of the few sports where the older you get, your skills and presence grows rather than degrades. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's funny because like with martial arts, if you're like fighting competitively, there's a point where past a certain age, like you might not perform as well, but at the same time, you're also picking up much more of the nuances of each technique the longer you practice. So, yeah, it's this like double-edged thing, but obviously there's more to martial arts than just fighting too. And it's fascinating to me to explore different styles and see where they overlap and where they differ. South said, yeah, I think they would make great travel videos. Yeah. Actually, so we've been talking about if we go to a really like exotic location or something like Iceland or something, then we might also produce a series of like travel style videos leading up to the big episode. Crabdice says, got inspired by your backpacking videos lately. Now we plan a quick trip to Yosemite. Oh, that's awesome. Do you know when you're going to go there? Jason says, I would like to see more of Columbus. Yeah. I think some of the coolest stuff in Columbus is like the food, and then, probably music, but I'm not like a big music scene guy. But yeah, it's got its cool gems. I've heard people describe Columbus as like a city that isn't cool, so that people actually have to like try to make cool things happen in the city. Mary Fisher says, true, my bro's judo instructor is like 76. Oh, wow. That is super cool. I would love to take jiu-jitsu or something somewhere down the line. Jeremy says, I can't remember if it was an AA or Robby's vlog, but that video of you guys at the coffee shop in Japan. Yes, yeah. Yeah, maybe we should just publish that, because for a while we were thinking of releasing that as a standalone thing, but that was in one of the Japan vlogs. William Beck, how to combine ramen and Spam and sardines. Yeah, that you can just go to our episodes for. Aaron Jones says, the coolest thing in Columbus is the shoe. There's cooler stuff in that. The shoe is really cool, especially if you're a sports fan, but I think there's some other stuff that's interesting to explore. The shoe is really cool, though. I actually am not a huge football person. I'm just not a sports person in general, unless you count backpacking or martial arts. But football is definitely a huge thing in Columbus. Gravity says Yosemite trip will be around the end of the month or for the fall color, hopefully. Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully it's not like snowing too hard by then. I don't really know. I feel like it might start snowing pretty soon there, but that would also be really beautiful. But honestly, I'm not sure. It might be something where it snows a little later, but the snow lasts through the spring. Joshua Zweizig says, yeah, Kendo's highest rank requires you. Yeah, I heard that. It requires you to be at least 46, and you have to spend 10 years at the previous rank. I've heard that. I saw a video about that on YouTube, I think. And it's all these like older men who are passing the test, and like very few of them pass too. It's like level 8 or something, isn't it? Mary Fisher says, do you drink much beer, Andrew? Ohio just broke the record for state with most medals taken home at the Great American Beer Fest. Oh, wow. I do drink beer. I don't drink it like a whole lot, but I'm not like, I appreciate drinking different kinds of beer and like trying craft beer, but I am very happy to settle for like watery, cheap beer. And that's usually what I drink when I am at a bar or something. I don't drink it that often though, just like occasionally on weekends when I'm out with friends. I used to drink it maybe a bit more, but I realized a lot of the times when I craved a beer, I really just wanted a cold carbonated drink, and hence I do seltzer water now. Crabtree says the funnest line from Robbie's channel, Andrew, climb that tree. Oh yeah. Oh man, what was that one from again? Was that when we were like out at night? Oh, so Crabtree says it won't snow till November, December. Okay, gotcha. So it snows at a normal time. Everyone's favorite fall beer. Mary Fisher says any thick syrupy stouts. That's, yeah. When I think of a stout, I definitely think of autumn. Yellow Springs Brewery Oktoberfest. Oh, cool. I should try that. Eat out with Robbie and his brother. Yeah, that'd be fun. Are you guys happy with the growth of your Patreon fan base? Is it growing slower or faster than you hoped? I don't know. I don't really know what my expectations are at this point, honestly. I guess for a while we were hoping it would grow faster, but also I'm perfectly happy with where it's at right now too. It's always super fun, like interacting with everybody who's commenting on our weekly updates and who joins the live stream. So, yeah. Daryl Anderson says, "Hey Andrew, any celebration planned when you hit 100,000 subscribers?" And yeah, we're at 81,000 now. You know, I don't know if we have anything planned. We haven't really thought about that, but I'm sure we'll have something once we get closer. I mean, we'll probably have a meetup for sure then. I mean, I'm sure we'll have one before then too, but yeah, I think like probably meetup, maybe like big live stream on our channel too, stuff like that. Maybe even like maybe we can go film a special episode to celebrate that too. Yeah, 100K Japan trip, that'd be cool. Yeah. Josh says it's weird even as a viewer when you see the channel having grown from 48,000. Yeah. It's I still remember like when we passed 10,000 and how proud we were. And me and Robbie were in Florida at like a YouTube convention, and we were like so proud that we had 12,000. But yeah, I really like where we're at right now, honestly. Obviously, I'm always going to welcome more people on our channel and on Patreon, but I'm super thankful for everyone who is already subscribed and stuff. Jeremy says my more mainstream go-to fall beer is probably Sam Adams. Yeah, that's a very good fall beer too. Crabtree says, would you be interested in going to Burning Man? Yeah, actually. When I was in college, I used to want to go to Burning Man, and like, there's a period where I very seriously considered going out there, but I have actually never been. I feel like, I don't know, at least from what I've heard, I feel like it's lost some of what it's originally about. Because now the tickets are like, what, several $100s, maybe even $1,000. And when I first heard about it, the whole idea was to like sort of build this temporary society where you like trade for things and stuff like that. But I don't know. I would still be interested in going because like it's something that like people know about, but hardly anyone has been there. And it'd just be such an interesting and weird experience. James Thompson says, have you ever done prairie or woodland restoration? I asked because of your great identification skills. James, I have done some stuff like that. Not a whole lot, but actually that's not where I just learned identification as sort of a hobby at first. And then I did go on to take some actual formal classes. But yeah, like I've done some like tree planting and some invasive species removal, but I haven't done like a whole lot. I did study like a little bit of natural resource management in undergrad though. Aaron Jones says, next year, you and the gang should come to the Super Outdoor Experience at Eastwood Lake Metro. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we really should do that. Yeah, I need to look into that. I feel like we were considering that for a moment. Subaru Outdoor Experience. there's always things where we think like we should really go to this, but a lot of times we just kind of lose track of it. Shafly, is it Shafly? Shafly pumpkin ale is life-changing. Ooh, pumpkin ale sounds good. South says, I hear it's just for rich people now. I mean, that is kind of what it seems like. Like a lot of, I think, Silicon Valley type people tend to go there. And I feel like it started out as more of a like hippie sort of thing. William Beck says, any more drunk Robby live streams? I'm sure that is something that might happen in the future. I guess I could always do another like one of those trivia drinking things that I did a long time ago. My mom is probably going to text me telling me not to do that. But Mary Fisher says, I think we should probably hide the drunk Robby live streams on his own channel. That's a good point. That's a good point. Crab J says, yeah, the tickets are hard to get now, and it's getting expensive over the years, but there are options to go around with the price. Have you been, Crab J? I know some people who are like really loyal. Well, I don't know them personally, but I know that there are people who attend Burning Man like every year. I feel like for me, I would just want to check it out once, or maybe like once or twice, and just have that experience. But Sandlar says, I was watching the Find Your Park video recently. Have you kept up with the people from the trip? A little bit, but like not a whole lot. Like it's more just exchanging comments on social media. And part of that is just like, I think we are all kind of doing our own thing. And so like there's a Casey Schreiner who runs Modern Hiker, the blog, and he's busy with that. And I think he also does like television. So I think he hosts a game show actually, which is really cool. And then occasionally like I'll interact with Javi Gonzalez, who was one of the photographers. But yeah, mostly it's just like social media interaction. Not for any reason. It's just like, that's kind of how it is. Crab J says, yeah. Mary Fisher, drinking trivia. I'm too new. What's this all about? Yeah, Jason just said. Andrew would ask Adventure Archives trivia questions, and if we got it correct, you had to take a shot. Yeah, and I quickly found out that the questions were way too easy. And I don't know if maybe part of that is just like when you have any sort of like collective mind working together, like people can just dig up these answers too easily, but that seems to be the case. Yeah, so I wish I could, maybe I can show you some more of this midlife breakthrough stuff really quick, because that might be interesting. Sanwar, I think it happened like a year and a half ago, maybe. Jason says it was a great 5 minutes of sober Andrew. I don't think I did not get that drunk, I don't think, but that would definitely be something fun to do. I probably won't take like a whole shot anytime someone gets the answer right, because that just sounds like kind of ridiculous. But yeah, you know what? That's what I'll do. I'm going to show you all. I am going to show you some stuff from this project that I've been working on. Jason said, just kidding, you held your own for sure. Okay, I appreciate that. Okay, let's see. Is that easy enough to see for everyone? All right, so
this past Sunday, I took a Arnis test for the first level. Obviously, we're not using sticks in MMA, but I think some of the things.
Sometimes it plays back really choppily, so let me see if I can.
Things that can help.
That's way too low quality.
Like just distance and timing, and that's like key. I think distance and timing is one of the most important things. Not getting hit.
Shoot, this thing is not playing back very well. But... Actually, you know what? I will render this and just so I can show it to you really smoothly. S. Young says super chat for shots. Ooh, that's a dangerous proposition. I mean, that's actually, so that is an interesting point though, which is because Adventure Archives is family friendly, and I'm super happy that it is. But because of that, there are certain like fun things that I think should be left to at least like the Patreon. Just because like, I don't want to be belligerent in front of children. But at the same time, I think like the opportunity of a second channel, and obviously like Robby's used his vlog channel like that, but it's to explore topics that are maybe a little more adult, like nothing like super out there necessarily, but just like stuff that has a little bit more of a mature tone so that like we can talk a little more upfront about certain things. And that might include something like that. It's just like, I love Adventure Archives, and I really love that we made it family friendly and like child friendly. And I think that's like, it's perfect for the tone. But at the same time, I also feel like there's so much to life to explore that you can't necessarily talk about to that sort of open audience. And yeah, I don't know. Just some random thoughts. Sandwar says, I am not drunk. Famous words of every drunk person ever. Fair. William Beck says, my midlife breakthrough was in the early 80s. What did that look like, William? I'm curious. It's funny, like midlife crisis, the whole idea of a midlife crisis to me is actually weirdly appealing because I don't know, I've said this before maybe, but I feel like if you don't have a midlife crisis, you're either doing something very wrong or something very right. Because very wrong if you are living a life that you find unsatisfying but feel no need to break out from that. Very right if you're already living a life that you find satisfying, and so you don't feel a need to have a midlife crisis. But just in general, I think something that has always appealed to me is the idea of like having this breakthrough of like, oh wow, I want to make like a really radical change in my life. And I mean, I think that's why the book Walden was super appealing to me, because it was about this guy who, abandoned society to live in the woods. And I mean, he was only a mile from society, but like the idea of it was very romantic and very cool to me. And I think backpacking also appeals to me because it's like kind of a snippet of that. Like every time you go backpacking, it's like, yeah, it's just a fun little weekend trip, but it also does give you a glimpse into a different like alternative lifestyle. And it's kind of this like escape from everyday life that can be really refreshing and really just really altering, like in terms of your perspective on things. Chris Robinson says, do you think you would ever get to Alaska to film an episode? Actually, hold on. Did I render this just now? Sorry, 1 second. Okay, there we go. Do you ever think you would get to Alaska to film an episode? Yeah, I think definitely at some point. It's funny, we were seriously considering doing that, and we even filmed ourselves like talking about that in our Japan episode, but we never put it in the episode. But yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I don't see why it wouldn't be, honestly. Ray Outdoors says, I studied Arnis from a Filipino guy for a long time, or a long time ago. That's awesome. How many years did you do that for, Ray? And do you know like what specific kind it was? I didn't realize this until I was filming that, but apparently a lot of the different subsets of stick fighting are like named after the island or the town that style developed in. But because like the Philippines are all these different islands, there's like so many different lineages and stuff. Ms. Jen Wingo says, I would be in the very wrong bucket, referring to trivia, I assume. Caps at Door says, I'm 46, I'm ready for one. William Beck says, I quit my job, moved back home, and went back to school. Oh, wow. Yeah, that sounds like a good change to make. Yeah, Caps, I think like just thinking about even just thinking about little daily changes you can make can be pretty refreshing sometimes. I mean, what do I know? I'm like 28, but Aaron Jones says, I'm reading Walden right now after picking it up at the gift shop at Old Man's Cave. Oh, cool. What do you think so far? I feel like I talk to people and they have different opinions of it. A lot of people who read it in school think it's like really boring and dry. But for some reason, I just fell in love with that when I read it. Joshua Zoizig says, backpacking sort of gives me a sense of control back in a chaotic world. Not to say conquer nature so much as it's hard to put in words. That's really interesting. You know, I do kind of get that where like, it's not so much about conquering nature, but like, it feels like in nature, there is like an acceptance of who you are. And like, I don't know, in everyday life, I feel like you face a lot of things that can cause anxiety or stress. And then in nature, like all of that is just gone. And you feel a little more like in control of who you are. I don't know if that's how you feel, but Re-Ray says, about 4 years Eskrima. That's super cool. Mindanao. That's interesting. Yeah, I feel like that'd be a really cool martial art to take up because like you can just carry some sticks around with you and you know how to fight with them and defend yourself. Not that that's like all that martial arts is about, but Senor says, one suggestion for the channel, more live streams open to the general YouTube viewers. Yeah, that's definitely something I actually want to do more of. Especially where all 4 of you are there. Those are always fun. It will also provide content in between episodes. Yeah. Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about that, how we need to do more of those. It's always a fun time. And yeah, I definitely don't want live streams to be something we only do on Patreon. Yeah, for a while we were thinking of doing live streams publicly like every month, but maybe like every other month would be more reasonable. Yeah. Jeremy says, I may have suggested to you to this before, but you should check out Rune Malt Bertram Nielsen on YouTube. Okay, that sounds cool. That does sound familiar. But I don't know if I remember to check it out. Oh, that's super cool. That is something I'd like to do eventually, is do more bushcrafty stuff. And like, that was part of my goal for this year, was to do some more of that. I did take one survival class, but I still feel like I should do more than that. I guess I've still got a few months before the year's over. But hello, Tim. Welcome, welcome. Aaron Jones says, it's given me a whole different perspective on how to appreciate nature. Yeah, for sure. Jason says, you'll be doing one this weekend for the episode premiere, right? Yeah, we will. I mean, that's like a little bit different just because it's more a live chat than a live stream. But yeah, we will definitely be chatting with people for the premiere. CrabJ says, we have a group of people, some photographers going to Burning Man for the past 10 years. Oh, that's cool. I think you will like there and shoot some amazing videos. Would love to visit our camp or camp with us. That'd be really cool. Yeah. That actually just happened, didn't it? Like last month? Because it happens in September, if I remember right. Chris Robinson says the post-Manistee live stream was great fun. Yeah, the one where, yeah, the big fundraiser live stream, because we lost all our equipment. That was actually super fun on our end too. Like, I would love to do some sort of variety show style live stream like that again. It's like, actually the main thing is I just don't want to be like begging people for money, but we could do that like maybe yearly or something. That'd be kind of cool. Because either way, it's still entertaining. PTH1707, welcome, welcome. Re-Ray says, I'd love to see your recommendation reading list for learning to ID various plants and fungi. But the only thing I'm 100% sure of is poison ivy. So I've used the Audubon field guides before, and I would also suggest Nature's Harvest Forager's Harvest, Nature's Garden by Samuel Thayer. Those are great books for wild edible plants. I'll type those in, actually. William Beck says, a different hippie is a decent channel with camping and bushcraft. Ooh, that's cool. No talking. I believe he's in Japan. That sounds really interesting, because I've seen some camping channels from Japan, and like A lot of times they have to settle for like being at campsites and stuff. Bushcraft, especially in places that has bamboo, is like super cool. Oh wait, this is the guy that a different hippie. So I think a different hippie is used to be called Bushcraft Blue, and I followed him a while back. But yeah, I love those videos. They're super calming to watch, and it's so interesting to see like how bushcraft works in a society in a country like Japan, where there's not a lot of like huge swaths of raw wilderness left, you know, at least as far as I know. Okay, I'm going to play for you this video just for the fun of it. And I would be curious to hear how many of you would be interested in watching something like this versus how many of you would not. I won't be offended if you're not interested. Like it's a completely different subject field, but I'm kind of curious how many people's interests overlap with like martial arts stuff. But let's see.
This past Sunday, I took a Arnis test for the first level. Obviously, we're not using sticks in MMA, but I think some of the things that can help is like just distance and timing, and that's like key. I think distance and timing is one of the most important things. Not getting hit.
What do you think? Do you think he's going to pass today?
Of course he will. He always passes.
I think I'm going to do what I do. We'll see what he thinks of me.
Okay. All right. Just go ahead and start with it.
So there are some gaps.
Before I took the test, my wife.
There are some gaps where I'm gonna like put in some narration, or possibly fill it in with like extra interview footage that I haven't gotten yet.
She actually asked me, how can I tell the difference between what I'm doing like Kung Fu and Arnis or Kali, whatever.
How do you like
I
separate it?
and I do a lot for my main.
Which foot is forward? Or they both kind of equal?
My right foot.
Okay. Go down. Go up.
I think I did all right. I could have done better. Just remembering some of the orders of the forms and my instructor versus the testing guru. Some of their cues are a little bit different.
1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Straight down. 1, 2, 3, up. Really worked a little bit outside of the curriculum and started thinking about more about some exercises that are going to optimize a lot of your movements. It's going to do you some good.
Like thing I do I should work on.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of critique. We're going to go ahead and give you.
Glad you only have 1 minute.
We're going to get. This is actually a lot. There's a lot to be said in one sentence for me. I'll let you go, George, since you're his teacher.
A lot of times you had your arm pretty outstretched, so you're going to work on that. I would say the switching from side to side, make it a little bit tighter, sticks not coming out in front.
Seriously, I think you had a really good test.
Could have done better. I know some stuff that I didn't perform, but I'm happy at the end of it. So some of the things I think I could have done better is I wasn't separating a lot of the footwork I was doing. Oddly enough, after the test, that's one of the things I got complimented on, but I was doing a lot of Wing Chun footwork.
Honestly, I was really impressed, especially with the maturity of his footwork and a lot of the power that he displayed, especially for someone that has just started to go into martial arts.
I think he did great. Definitely think he did great.
Thank you. Yeah, so
This past Sunday,
that's it so far. There's still some like moments that flow a little more awkwardly as far as the editing goes, and like I keep realizing there's certain things that I want him to say in the interview that I forgot to ask about. That would really help like make things flow together a little better. Caps Outdoors, thank you. Yeah, so Jason says he would be interested too. So what was I about to say? Yeah, anyway, that's the test he took for the stick fighting. And oh yeah, one of the things I really love about editing stuff like this, and there were some moments that were flowing better than others. There's still others where I feel like the dialogue is a little too fast, or I need to fill some silence with stuff. But it's actually really fun, like taking all the footage and piecing it together. So like, for example, when the two instructors are talking to him, the camera was just going back and forth. But then like in the editing process, I find footage where he's just reacting to something they're saying, and I can like put it over top of a shot where it's showing the two instructors, and it looks like it's one fluid conversation with multiple cameras set up. Like stuff like that, just figuring out how to make things flow together is really fun when you're editing sometimes. Sometimes it's frustrating too, but Jeremy Cox said, did you ever get into The Office or Parks and Rec? I've always thought that mockumentary style would be a funny way for you guys to do a shout out segment. That's a great, actually, me and Bryan were thinking of doing an Office style shout out, but we ended up going with a different idea for the last episode. But yeah, Bryan is into The Office, and then I like binge watched Park and Rec for a while. I think I only got to like season 4 or 5 though, but yeah, that's definitely something we would like to do. Yeah, Parks and Rec is pretty hilarious from what I remember. One of my favorite episodes is where Nick Offerman's character, Ron, takes, what's his name? Tom, I think, Tommy, into the wilderness and like shows him how to live in a cabin. Chris Robinson, so this channel will probably premiere like in the next month. Yeah, I think after talking with my instructor, we're probably going to do like monthly videos maybe. But I was even thinking like bi-weekly, but I'm not sure yet. It just kind of is this thing we're going to see how it shapes out. Honestly, I actually think it could be like bi-weekly videos at this point because there's decent enough amount of content to fill. Also, when you first start a YouTube channel, you can't upload a super long video. So Jason says, good idea. They definitely have the comedic chops. Thank you. Tim Lawson says, nearly 40 years ago, while in the Navy and living in Southern California, I took lessons in Kung Fu for about a year. Oh, that's cool. Tim, do you know, do you by any chance know what style you were learning? Because I know like a lot of times, like I took Kung Fu as a kid and I like didn't even realize what style it was until like way later. Because my current instructor actually knows that guy now. But I was learning Hung Gar style Kung Fu, which I would love to learn again someday. But Aaron Jones says, Austin Powers shout out. That's actually a really great idea. I'm surprised we haven't thought of that yet, actually. I need to write these down. We have like, I think we have a document where we write down all these ideas, but it definitely helps to have them written down so that when the time comes, we can just remember what we're going to do. Speaking of which, we actually might start just asking for shout outs way earlier in the process of editing an episode because a lot of times we're asking like towards the end of the editing process, like still a decent amount of days in advance, but like it kind of makes sense to ask it way in advance. So like when we have downtime, we can just film the shout outs without, because I don't know, it's just sometimes it's kind of a burden to have to like really think about, okay, we have to like film an entire skit, let alone come up with one last minute, and like everything else with the episode is done, and this is kind of delaying it. But so if you are a 50 and above patron, you can expect to see those messages a little bit sooner in the process. No pressure. I mean, you can get back to us whenever, but that might just make it a little more smoother of an editing process for us. Sanwar says, so I recall some tentative plans for you guys to join Robby in Japan. Did that fall through? I mean, like, we haven't talked too much about it yet. There's still potential for that to happen, but like we haven't really made any concrete plans yet. I don't know though. Maybe we'll still end up going out there for some of it. Yeah, it's funny. It's just like I think we're all at a point where like traveling super far for a super long time is like slightly inconvenient right now. But that might still be something we do. Crabtree says, just curious, which one of your 4 Which one of you four is behind the narration for each episode? So I am the one who does the majority of the writing for the narration. Like a lot of times what happens is I'll write it and then like someone else might add some extra lines because like there's a scene where like there's too much silence that we still have to fill in. Or like Robby or Bryan might change their lines a little bit to make it fit their voice better, or to make it worded a little better than how I might word it. Sometimes sometimes I'm writing this narration late at night, and so some of the lines have to be like adjusted because I was just like writing it kind of sleep deprived and like, yeah. From a percentage standpoint, how much of the music would you say is Robby and how much is Andrew? Like overall, I would probably say like 85, 90 Robby. There are episodes where it's like more of a 40-60 breakdown. But yeah, it depends which episode you're looking at, but he does do a lot of the music. If you're looking at especially the entire like discography, I guess like nowadays maybe it's more like 40-60, 50-50 sometimes, but so I have learned piano for like, I think I took lessons for 10 years or something. I don't take lessons anymore or anything, but I definitely like, I have a background in classical piano. And I also played the flute in middle school and high school. Yeah, classically trained. So it's funny because I'm good at piano and like I have a good ear for things, but when it comes to rhythm, I'm terrible at that. Yeah, flute. I feel like when I first learned flute, my band teacher at the time actually taught me the wrong embouchure. And so a lot of my flute experience was trying to correct how I was blowing into the flute. Like I could still make a sound come out, but apparently it wasn't like quite correctly. So I never really like got as proficient with the flute as I have with the piano. Piano, marimba, and drums. So actually Robby does marimba and drums and piano. So you're definitely a percussion man. That's kind of what Robby does too, piano and percussion. Joshua says cello. That's awesome. We would love to, I don't know, it'd be such a boon if one of us knew how to play any sort of stringed instruments, like any sort of strings orchestra instrument. Because Bryan can do guitar, obviously, but yeah, I don't know. Like the way he taught me could still make a sound, but then I took like flute lessons, and my teacher told me it was the wrong way. And I mean, he was just a general band teacher, so I don't know if maybe that was why. I know he played trombone, so. But yeah, I don't know. Robby and I have collaborated on one tune recently. Oh, really? Oh, wait. Are you? You're not the one who helped with the amazing credit song, are you? That was you. Yeah, that was you, wasn't it? Sorry, I should know that. I just like lose track of names specifically. Yeah, that credit song was absolutely amazing. Oh, that wasn't you. Okay, crap. Wait, which song was it then? Game of Tones. Oh, interesting. Okay. It's funny because I like hardly keep up with Robby's vlogs these days, and I don't know why. It's not like I enjoy watching them. I just don't check them out all that often. Good night, Chris. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. But yeah, I should really keep up with that stuff so I know what's going on. I feel like sometimes I can just be in my own head and like lose track of all the things I'm supposed to be doing. I have a paper planner because a lot of times I really need to write stuff down so that I can remember what I'm supposed to do. Jeremy says it'd be cool if you guys went back to Dolly Sods to celebrate the 50th episode or something, or 5-year anniversary. Yeah, Jeremy, actually we are very seriously considering going back there at some point, especially with Thomas because he's never been there. And the other thing is we've actually never filmed in 4K in Dolly Sods. And I think we would probably do some different trails this time around. Recorder, nice. And Jones says, trip to Zaleski is where it all began. Yep. All right, well, it's been about an hour. I've got to run to do something. But if anyone has any last-minute questions or thoughts, I'm happy to answer those. And yeah, I'll keep you all updated about that other channel and the other videos in the weekly updates. I'll probably post it to our page too whenever that goes public, but just for those of you who are interested. Yeah, Return to Dolly Sods. It's funny, Grayson Highlands was kind of like similar landscape, but it would be really cool to capture Dolly Sod. Like Dolly Sod still has this like rusticness to it that I think maybe Grayson Highlands didn't. I don't know, maybe that's just nostalgia though. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, James, Joshua, Jeremy, Aaron Jones, Leah Ellison, if you're still here, thank you. Have a good night, everybody. And I will see you at the weekly update. Goodbye, Ray. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, everyone have a great weekend. Goodbye, Mary. Goodbye, Barb, S. Young. All right, have a good weekend.